Yes, everyone, you know what time it is. It's your boy Jack here at the Irish Hotspur, here with a fan show and a big fan show before a massive North London derby tomorrow, everybody. And it certainly is a special one because I feel like this time around, a lot of Spurs fans, they're probably not kidding themselves and thinking that they could grab a point, that they could get a result here. This is probably one of the best Spurs squads that we've ever had in some time to go into these North London derbies. And I feel like we have some actual, deserved confidence, you could say, going into this one. So everybody, fan show is up. Time to have your say. Please come on. The fan show link is up in the community section for everybody with that elite membership as well as that fan show membership. If you do want to grab that fan show membership, it's in the description down below. I'll put it in the chat if anybody needs it as well. But we have already 3 guests in the lineup. Please, please, please do come on and have your say. It's going to be a really nice kind of discussion. I think we're just going to be kind of getting ourselves psyched up, or even just kind of maybe having a tactical discussion, whatever you want to speak about. It's going to be a good fan show, everybody. So everybody with that link in their community section, please hit it, everybody. Please do hit it. But I'm going to get to the chat here, going to get to some other things, and then I'm going to have sort of my say maybe quickly on the North London derby. Then we're going to get our first guest of the evening, being the Godfather, as per usual, Tio Isaac in the chat. Good to see you. And he's first in. Good to see you, Tio. Absolute legend. Dark Sun G, nice and early, saying, come on, you Spurs. It's time to beat the Gooners at their home. Sun is backfiring, which is very bad news for them. Also, Spurs, please let Sun take free kicks, not Kane and Dyer. I made a similar tweet, Dark Sun G, just the other day. I feel like there are 3 things we know that are consistent or kind of constant in this world: the sun, gravity, and Harry Kane hitting the wall from a free kick. It just seems like he's, never ever supposed to be standing behind it. And in fact, I feel like it should just be Son and Dyer actually standing behind the free kicks. And Dyer's actually hit the bar a few times. He likes to hit the woodwork from them, at least kind of sort of tease us with a good effort. Whereas Sonny clearly actually knows how to bang them in. He's done them consistently over international break. I wouldn't see how he wouldn't be able to do it for Spurs. Big up, Dark Sun G. And honestly, they've been absolute curlers as well. He really knows how to hit various types of free kicks as well. And very bad news for them, certainly, Dark Sun G. Very bad news for them, the Gooners. They were probably hoping on him kind of continuing that kind of sort of poor patch of form into this North London derby. But no, he's going in with full confidence, especially off the back in international break. He's going in on full confidence. Big up, my man. Pierogi in the house. Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. Big up, Pierogi. And I forget what chat that was. Maybe that was with the Gooner chat that we were talking about, Mila Kunis there. Big up, Pierogi. Luke Steve's in the house. Good to see you. Philo Coy saying, big up, lads. #1 Spurs channel. The time is nearly here to smash the scum, and hoping we are saving our best performance for the North London derby. 2-1 Spurs. Sonny and Kane with the goals. Oh, I love that. Who do we play at right wing back? I think 2-1 is a fine prediction there, Philo. I think a lot of Spurs fans, if they are predicting a win, are probably going with something similar there. In terms of right wing back, I'm probably envisioning Emerson being picked for this one by Antonio Conte. But if he were to go with something different, I guess he would go with Jet Spence, but it's just not happening. I think, Philo, I think we got to be realistic. I think Emerson is going to be the chosen right wing back for this one. And there is actually a sneaky chance of a 3-5-2 here. And there's also some potential Kulusevski injury news that we have to talk about as well, unfortunately, Philo. But pick yourself up. We got P Dubs in the house. P Dubs, if you're able to come on today, my man, please do. And I think the fan show, we already have 4 in here, P Dubs. So take your time. But I do want to talk to you if you are available today. Pick yourself up, P Dubs. We got Simon Cohen in the chat. Good to see you. John Han all the way out in the UK. Big yourself up. Ben Dello saying, big up David Ajax. As always, think if Decky's out the team, it picks itself with Richie coming in on the right. Probably. We will need to be at our best. I think you're spot on there, Ben. And if we are going to go with the 3-4-3 easy sub, that Richie comes in. But with Kulusevski potentially being out, I think actually more of a reason to switch to that 3-5-2, but who knows there. Big yourself up, Ben. John, if you're a Chelsea supporter, good to see you in here. Appreciate you tuning in, but I'm going to need you to behave as well. As you know, it's going to big North London derby day that we're talking about. Big yourself up, John. Pierogi, good to see you. If I haven't said hello to you already, that's right. We're talking about Mila Kunis and then DJ Samuel. Anything can happen. Absolutely. DJ, absolutely. Claude Murphy saying, I'm certain of a Tottenham victory. Big up, Claude. And then finally, we're going to get to kind of my talking points on this game, everybody. But if you haven't already, do smash that like button. Continue to get your comments into the chat. Feel free to throw them in as the super chat to support the channel, but also as well to just kind of skip the queue and kind of get your sort of say. And it's a great way as well to maybe have the guest, whoever I might be speaking to have their say on something that might be on your mind. But big yourselves up, everybody that's already joined us. We have kind of some talking points just to get through. Højbjerg and Lloris kind of released a quick sort of Spurs play interview. I saw it on the Tottenham Hotspur YouTube page, but I am going to check it out, the whole interview on Spurs play. But I would just say kind of my quick thoughts on it is that it just shows kind of the reason why these two guys are kind of in the sort of leadership sort of kind of hierarchy, at least within the Spurs squad. You can see why Højbjerg is probably seen as like a potential future captain, or at least one of kind of the leaders in that sort of Spurs squad. And then Lloris had some really interesting things to say as well. I mean, very, very kind of seasoned sort of players. And even though Højbjerg is only 27, I think 28, maybe 27, he kind of speaks like he's, had 20 years experience. Then again, though, he did talk about the time that he went from, I believe, Denmark to Bayern Munich at the age of 16 years old. He was recruited into Germany. And so it did show that he actually had to sort of, and he spoke about having to mature maybe at a very young age and having to sort of mature as a footballer quite quickly. So he has some interesting sort of anecdotes and kind of thoughts on just kind of the path of of sort of a footballer, especially one that sort of made it to the levels that he did. So it's really interesting. And Hugo also had his sort of own anecdotes that were super interesting. So everybody, if you haven't already, I would check it out. If you have, feel free to throw some comments in about it, please. How will Conte set up for this North London derby? I have a feeling that he will probably set up with the 3-4-3, but I'm not surprised if he goes with the 3-5-2, considering that injury of Kulusevski. I think plenty of people are going to have their say on it, so I'm not going to dive too far into it, but that question is up on the board there. We also have, would you take a point tomorrow? I certainly would take a point tomorrow. I mean, when's the last time that anyone took a point from these sort of games? I mean, the win percentage for the home team in the North London derby is exceptionally high. I think it's probably higher than most derbies, if I'm not mistaken, between teams kind of in the Premier League. I could be wrong, but it's one of the higher sort of proportional win percentages for the home team. So I think anybody would be happy to take a point, and it'd be more of a loss for the Gooners than it really would be for us. No Kulusevski or Lucas. What does that mean? Like I kind of alluded to earlier, potentially that alludes to a 3-5-2 of sorts. So do let me know what you think of that. I think Kulusevski could be an interesting one. And especially with sort of that initial 3-4-3 talk, I think we thought Kulusevski would just basically go into the team straight away. He is that right winger, probably been one of our most creative players this season. But with him being out, I think there is more of a chance now we actually switch to the 3-5-2 than ever. Hugo Lloris injury. Apparently, he could be available, but he might not be available. This is what Conte had to say. He said, Hugo is one of the players with some physical problems, but we hope to see him on Saturday. So, I mean, it's kind of a very kind of mysterious, very kind of a cloudy sort of answer there. But I guess we'll kind of have our say on it. And if Hugo is missing, how big of a loss is that for Spurs? Do let me know. How much trust do you have in Fraser Forster? Danger man for Arsenal, that can cause us problems. If there's anybody in that Arsenal team that you are kind of not looking forward to coming up against, maybe it's a Gabby Jesus, maybe it's an Odegaard, any sort of players like that that you think Spurs should be especially aware of, feel free to have your say on that. And then any weaknesses of Arsenal that Spurs can exploit. So kind of the opposite of that. While maybe Arsenal have their strengths, let's talk about maybe some of their weaknesses as well. But everybody, we're going to start bringing on the guests here. Just going to make sure I haven't missed anybody in the chat. Quickly here, we got Sebas Wolf in the house. Good to see you, Sebas. Hopefully your work, hopefully, I think I mean, these days, my man, you're absolutely grinding. So I bet you've already gotten the workout done, Sebas, but big yourself up, and not really the best looking day. So not a bad idea to maybe get in the gym and get yourself right. Big up, Sebas. Good to see you in the chat, my man. Jerome, good to see you, Jerome. And I want to see you come on, Jerome, please. If that link is in that chat for you, Jerome, please come on. If not, maybe just come on Monday or whatever, but we need to see you on sometime soon, Jerome. Absolute legend. Big yourself up, Jerome. We got Kai Ballack in the house, and Decky is out. So Conte will have Son, Kane, and Rich up top potentially, but who knows? If he does 3-5-2, then he has Rich maybe to come on to form a 3-4-3. I feel like maybe he starts a bit more conservatively and then maybe switches to a 3-4-3 perhaps to chase the game. That's just me being probably an idealist, I would imagine. Kai, big yourself up. Rufus Roughcut, good to see you, my man. And that link is in the chat for you as well, Rufus. We want to be seeing Ian as well. The link is in the chat if you're able to come on. He says it's PEH 27 in human years or Viking years. I wish I knew the conversion rate for Viking years, Ian. Pick yourself up. I would be very happy with a point. That's good to see. That's good to see. How did Kulu get injured? I think it was some sort of kind of a international break injury of some kind. Sebas, that's right, that's right, Sebas. Pick yourself up. But Jerome, I think it was some sort of international break injury. My man, which maybe like a muscle pull or some kind that's maybe a bit more serious than usual. It's tough news. It's very tough news. Big ups, Stevie Frazier. Downer about the Decky, but to be honest, I'd favor 3-5-2 anyway for the R's. Think all the omens are against us, so that actually might be good. Yeah, it is perhaps. It's a bad omen with losing Kulusevski, but it also could point towards the 3-5-2 maybe being more of a safer option now because he's lost one of his world-class forwards. Does he really want to put all three on at once? Maybe he now has more reason to go with that depth that he has in midfield, Stevie, if you know what I mean. Pick yourself up. Adrian Chia saying, big up, lads. Still PTSD from last season's defeats, certainly, Adrian. And if anybody, though, would prevent that sort of result from happening, it would be Antonio Conte, Adrian. I mean, that guy is an absolute pro when it comes to trying to manage games, even if it's ugly, even if it's not a nice game to watch. He's not going to let us be 3-0 down by halftime. I'd be absolutely shocked if he let us be down by that much by halftime. In fact, I feel like what he's really shooting for is probably to go for a really ugly 0-0 by halftime, and then maybe see where the game goes from there. Big ups, Adrian. Big yourself up. We also got Jake in the house. Good to see you, Jake. Daniel Larson, who we'll be speaking to later, is saying he's pretty nervous. No reason not to be nervous, I would say. Jerome, I think everybody's a bit nervous here. Or Daniel, everybody's a bit nervous. Jerome just saying, sorry, Jack, really tired today. We'll try to get on the stream Monday. No worries at all, Jerome. No worries at all. You know me. I'm just trying to get you on at some stage, Jerome. Just trying to give you that sort of encouragement. But I know how it is. It takes a lot of effort. So when you're feeling up for it, when you got that energy, when you got that adrenaline, Jerome, especially with that big time difference, feel free to come on, brother. But pick yourself up. All right, everybody, we're going to get enough of me blabbering. We're going to get the Godfather on today, see what he has to say about this North London derby, see what he can tell us about it. But we're going to bring on the Godfather, Philip. How we doing?
Hi, Jack. How are you?
Getting myself pumped up. As you can tell, my voice got louder and louder and louder, Philip, the more I kept talking. Right. But you kind of saw me flash through all the sort of talk, or sort of the news maybe surrounding this game and whatnot. Kind of the Kulusevski injury is potentially on the cards here. Do you want to start there?
Yeah, I think I'm a bit annoyed about that because I think he felt the injury after 50 minutes, but they kept him on and didn't come off till after 70. I mean, he should have been hooked straight away because, I mean, the international managers do not seem to care much about the fitness of their players when they go back to their clubs, as far as I can see. So that's definitely a big loss for us tomorrow. But I really hope Conte goes 3-5-2 tomorrow, because we cannot afford to let Arsenal overrun us in midfield. Because if they do that, they are, like, hard as it is for me to say, they are playing well at the moment, and they'll be up for tomorrow after the 3-0 back in May at our place. So if they're not focused and motivated tomorrow, they never will be. So I think we need to counter them by going 3-5-2, and Kulusevski being out might just play that Conte's hand a little bit there. Leave Kane and Son up front with Richie to come on as a sub in the second half. So, I think that the big thing tomorrow is don't get beat. I'd be happy enough to take a point. And like, I'm normally a glass full person, but tomorrow I think a point would be a good result for us, because and a win would be absolutely brilliant, because it would actually spike them. It would spike their impetus. It would get the fans doubting Arteta again, because the minute he's second only to God in the Arsenal fans' eyes, and I think, to us he'll always be Lego man, but to them he's God. And we just need to put them back in their place a bit. It's 2,300 X days since Arsenal were ahead of us in the league, or beat us in the league. And we want to keep that run going. And what better place? Start tomorrow. We haven't won there in 10, 12 years. Yeah. And it would be great. What a boost it would be for Spurs to be top of the league going into the afternoon matches tomorrow.
It's certainly it's a big one, Philip, to be coming off of international break for, right? Where normally I feel like when we leave international break, we'd be playing a Bournemouth, it feels like, after international break.
I want to make a point here to the FA, or whoever makes up the fixtures. This is our third London derby of the season in 8 matches, and every one of them has been away from home. Now, surely that's a little bit unfair.
I
You know,
actually, Philip, keep talking. I'm about to pull up some stats on it, and keep talking about
you know,
that. I actually
there should have
pointed
been at
this
least
out. We
one of
have
those
an
matches.
extremely tough fixture list. Yeah,
Yeah,
keep
there should
going.
have been at least one of those matches scheduled for the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because it's really showing a bit of like I always laugh at Jurgen Klopp complaining about the fixtures. I never want to get sound like him, but I think we have a genuine cause for complaint there. I mean, Chelsea, West Ham, and Arsenal are three supposed rivals all away in the first 8 games of the season.
Hmm.
It's not fair. It's not really fair.
Here it is, Philip. Only one traditional sort of, traditional top six team that we will come up against before the World Cup. Only one of those games is going to be at home, which is against Liverpool. All
Yeah.
of the games that we've played against the traditional sort of top six teams have been away from home. So that's Chelsea, West Ham, Man City, Arsenal, and then Man United. And if you don't want to include sort of Man United or West Ham, then I think it's like five teams there,
Yeah.
Philip, or whatever,
Well,
four teams that we've come up against away from home before the World Cup, even.
we could turn this into our advantage because,
That's
okay,
true.
we're unbeaten in the two so far, right? We stay unbeaten tomorrow, and then after the World Cup, we have a lot of home matches to come against these guys, and they're the ones we will be expected to win. So I mean, okay. It balances itself out at the end of the season, but I think a little bit more equity in spreading it should be home away, home away, home away for London derbies, not away, away, away. It's just
Hmm.
not fair.
No,
And
it certainly isn't. Certainly isn't. And I don't think we do sound like Jurgen Klopp's, to be honest, Philip, because I bet he's complained about it more than even Antonio Conte probably has it.
oh yeah, no, I didn't want to sound like Klopp, because he's the moaning ninny of the Premiership. I mean, if he was given
Well,
5 league games at home in a row, he'd be complaining they were too close together. You know,
absolutely, absolutely. But this is kind of an interesting question. I don't know if it's an insulting question, but would you take a point tomorrow? Is that kind of a huge
no,
plus for
I'd
Spurs?
be realistic. I would take a point tomorrow, and I'd take anything but a defeat, because a point away from home and win a point away and win your home games. That's the way you make hay in this championship Premiership. So yeah, I'm expecting a very tough game though. I mean, it's like we rolled them over so easily the last time that that's going to have an effect on their mindset tomorrow to redress the balance a bit and get revenge on us. So
Yeah.
that's why I think 3-5-2 will actually help. But I think we're much better shape now than we were this time last year when we played them,
I think it's
because
about getting to
we're
halftime
under
nil-nil.
Nuno and we're absolutely clueless
Yeah.
last September, whenever it was, against Arsenal. So, as you said earlier, we will not be 3-0 down at half time tomorrow. No way. Conte will not just allow that.
No, we
So,
don't.
I'm expecting Spurs to sit back, maybe take up the pressure in the first 20 minutes. And then, if Arsenal play a little bit get a bit overconfident, hit them on the break, do what we're
Yeah.
good at.
Yeah.
And, we've got the players to do it. And now that Sonny is back, I mean, not only scoring for us, but scoring for Korea as well. It was a great. Sonny has had a great couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And he'll be buzzing for tomorrow.
The buckets are now being the buckets are opening, or whatever the phrase is. The buckets of goals are coming now, and he's scoring buckets now. But what I would say, Philip, is I've seen someone bring this up before, that it feels like every North London derby, at least recently, it's sort of like the game was end, or like the game was sort of finished by halftime, if you know what I mean. Where in the case of
Yeah,
most
yeah.
recently Holding with the red card, still holding on to Son to this day. And also the case of with Nuno's kind of North London derby. I feel like the most important thing is kind of not conceding too much, or kind of not folding right away in that game, not
No.
letting it be finished by halftime.
We don't want to concede a goal early on in this game tomorrow,
Yeah.
because that will really get the fans behind them. It'll really get the atmosphere. It'll be toxic against Spurs tomorrow, and so we keep it tight. Even 0-0 at half time, they'll get anxious, and that's when we can pick them off, because we tend to play better in the second half of matches, as was shown
Yeah.
against Leicester, especially. And
But
I
then
think
they also
Basuma
start
big
first
role.
as well.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, Philip, I was going to say we play second halves very well, but then they sort of start first halves very well. They
Yeah, well,
start
there
them
you go.
very
It
well.
could be a game of two halves tomorrow. Then
Could be.
they win the first half, we win the second. I think Basuma has a big role to play tomorrow. Like what we saw him against Leicester there when he came on. Now we've got a real player there, and he'll be able to disrupt their attacking flow. And I'd like to see Romero put a mark on Jesus permanently if possible. and keep him out of the game because he's a danger man, as is
Hmm.
Odegaard. I think they're the two that
Yeah.
we really have to watch out for. Um, and I suppose a lot will depend on whether Hugo plays or not, because I have good faith in Fraser Forster. I think he's a good.
Hmm.
If it was Galini that was there, I wouldn't have such faith. But I think Fraser Foster
Hmm.
has proved himself in the Premiership over the years and in Scotland with Celtic. So I think we're in good hands if Hugo doesn't play tomorrow.
You have faith in Fraser Forster if he were to come in. Like, you wouldn't be as
I do,
worried
yeah,
if it
yeah.
were.
Always
Yeah,
had, always rated him as a goalkeeper. Yeah, he's a good
like
shot
that.
stopper and he's a big lad. He commands the area well.
I like that. I like to hear that. So it's definitely not a Galini situation by the looks of things, if
No, no,
or a
no,
Joe Hart situation.
definitely
Yeah.
not. No,
It scares you then to think about how healthy then Hugo was actually, because if he had picked up an injury, that's what the situation could have been. Dark Sun G says Conte is the god who gives us results away in the Premier League. He's absolutely right here. And Philip, this has been a result or fixture that's, like I said, really pointed towards the home team, no matter what sort of form they're going into. Uh, why is it so hard to win away from home in these kind of North London derbies compared to other derbies? Other derbies, it's actually a bit, kind of more standard, kind of maybe 70-30, where this one, it's like 90% of the games are won at home.
I think it's the fact that the rivalry for Spurs is so intense. I mean,
Yeah.
and the fact that I think it goes back to 1919 when they had us relegated and they got promoted to Division One, even though they didn't deserve it. And I think we've never forgiven them for that. The fans don't like each other. The geographical proximity is quite close. There's so much going on, Although I have to say, and this will probably sound like heresy, uh, of the three big rivals in London, I have more respect for Arsenal than I do for Chelsea and West Ham.
Mm.
you know, I think that Arsenal are a traditional, well-run club like ourselves, not like the other two clown shows down the road. So I have a bit of respect for Arsenal, and I'm watching the debate the other night with the two Arsenal fans. They were fairly reasonable. There was no extremism really. Maybe that I saw anyway. So
Yeah.
like a bit of respect. Like I still want to beat them, but I wouldn't be. I'd be more upset if we went to Chelsea and West Ham, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. We
You
were we
know,
were talking about Jason Cundy earlier, and they certainly the
oh,
Arsenal
that's
fans we
bad.
had on certainly the Arsenal fans we had on were not that type of energy. I know what you mean. They were a bit more reasonable, you could say, a bit more
Yeah.
reasonable, like you said.
Don't start me on Jason Cundy. We'll be here all night.
But I know what you mean though, where it feels like maybe it's a more of a healthy rivalry that is sort of been a very intense one, and if not still one of the most intense ones in the Premier League. But
Oh, it is. It is.
perhaps at
It
least
is.
with some of the fan acknowledgement, a bit healthier than Chelsea and West Ham and whatnot, by the looks of things. But I just want to kind of get your thoughts as well, though, maybe on that sort of Kulusevski kind of injury again, Philip. Is the 3-5-2, if that injury didn't happen, is that still what you would want to see though? Is that 3-5-2?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I think so. I mean, we saw it. We saw it late on against Leicester, and look what happened. Son got a hat trick. We need that extra stability in midfield. I think not in all games. Like at the home games, I'm more than happy with the way he normally plays it. But I think in matches like tomorrow, a little bit of caution is needed, just to keep it tight, keep us that we don't get overrun in midfield. Because if you surrender the midfield early to Arsenal, it's going to be very difficult to get it back off them. So go to 3-5-2.
Yeah.
Like we've still got Son and Kane up front, the goal machines, who can
And we saw Sonny exploit, that Leicester backline, a very high Leicester backline in the 3-5-2. If anything, I feel like that could be a secret weapon for Spurs, or if not a weakness that Spurs could take advantage of for Arsenal. I
I
feel like
mean,
we love those high back lines coming up
oh,
against
I
those
love
type
it.
of teams.
And I don't think the Arsenal fans are too keen on Ben White either, and we can
Interesting.
exploit him.
Interesting.
I think he's there to be got at.
Yep, compare it with him versus him instead of Tomiyasu, I guess. Some people still
Yeah,
rate Tomiyasu higher, and they would rather Tomiyasu come up against the likes of Sonny, but it probably will be Ben White. You're right.
probably Ben
Um,
White. No matter who it is, they play a high line. We can exploit that. We really
mhm,
can. And
mhm.
I hope that we do. And then we've also got the super sub to come on with Carlson if we need him. Again, a
Yeah,
man that was knocking in goals for fun during the international break. So I mean, the firepower is there, and Arsenal will know that, and they'll be wary of it. They will be very wary of our firepower. That okay, we're missing one cog of it tomorrow, but those three boys are still more than capable of causing havoc if they're given the service and the space to do it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I actually think we also as well, Philip, like if we were to go with a 3-4-3 tomorrow and Kulusevski is hurt, you feel like you're sort of putting on and Lucas is still hurt, which is again, we continue
Yeah,
to be without Lucas this whole season. You sort of are left with, I guess, little old Brian Hill is the only real attacker left on the team. It feels like it make maybe more sense, or I don't know if it makes more sense. It just perhaps if Conte were to go into this game a bit more conservatively, he would rather keep maybe Richarlison on the bench to
yeah,
unleash later instead of starting him in the first
yeah.
place.
I think he has to go conservatively tomorrow. I really do. I think
Yeah,
he has to. And any other any gung ho stuff tomorrow, we will not come out of this well. We won't come out
yeah,
of it well. Needs to keep it tight, and we do that, and we'll frustrate them,
yeah,
frustrate
definitely,
Arsenal, and then hit them late on the game. That's what we need to do. Like we
definitely.
scored. How many did we score in the last 20 minutes against Leicester? 3. I'll take that
I think
tomorrow.
what was
No
goal
problem. Well, we got the fourth one
because it was
just after half time, but well, the third one just after
yeah,
half time. But
yeah,
13 minutes hat trick.
yeah,
Sonny couldn't do it again, could he? You never know.
yeah. You never
And I
know.
see. I don't know if you've got this on. Sonny has to take the free kicks. I mean, the one he got for Korea there during the week was sublime, brilliant.
Is it a contractual thing? Is it just Kane somehow in his contract gets a certain amount of free kicks per season? Do you think,
Oh,
Philip? Or
I doubt it. I say he just uses his pulled rank and takes the ball up when there's a free kick given. But I think Conte should come along and say to Sonny, if we get a free kick within 25 yards, you have a whack, you have a go with it. See if you can do any better. But I don't think Harry's beaten the wall in the last 20 of them. You know, well,
yeah, I mean,
he certainly hasn't. He
it's a
certainly
miracle if
hasn't.
he does get it above the wall. I think we'd be happy if he got it above the wall,
Yeah.
Philip.
Now put
But
Sonny on. I'll tell you, we have another secret weapon on free kicks as well that hasn't really been used. Is Perisic, another man that can take him if needs be.
the other weapon is also Gianni Vio, Philip. I mean, you look at some of the goals that we've scored from set pieces this season, we wouldn't be towards the top of the table if it weren't for
Exactly.
Gianni
Yeah.
Vio.
Yeah, that's it. So we just need to make sure he does a few defensive ones as well. Although I think he's mainly attacking. I don't think he's in the defensive ones are his forte. And we need to get the centre backs completely clued in tomorrow. No lapses of concentration. No stupid giving the ball away in dangerous areas.
Mhm.
Like with the example of that during the week in the Ireland versus Armenia match, Conor Houlihan gave the ball away 20 yards outside their area and bang, back of the net straight away. Cannot
Yeah,
afford to do that.
no,
And but I have great faith now that Romero and Longley and Dyer will have a good game tomorrow.
definitely. And can I get some goal scorers, Philip? Maybe a score prediction, and then also THFC till I die, please.
Oh, I'll tell you, I'm like Jack. You know me. I'm always very positive about Spurs, but tomorrow I will settle for a 1-1 draw.
I think a lot of us would. I think a lot
I
of
think I
us would.
would. And yeah, I'd be on the watch along with THFC till I die tomorrow. That's if I can get out from behind the couch because it's a game I never enjoy watching. Is Arsenal versus Spurs?
No,
I
no,
love
it's
watching Spurs versus Arsenal, but not this one. So it'll be
I,
a force to watch it. But yeah, I'm confident we won't lose, and that'll be on with Dermot and Ellie tomorrow at about 12:30.
it's the fixture, Philip, that it's sort of like a week ahead of time. You're thinking about it at least a few times a day. Then by like 2 days before, you're thinking about it every other thought. Now
Yeah,
today, I'm honestly like, I'll be picking something up from the grocery aisle, and I'll just be thinking I'll look at a Gooner, after I take something off the shelf. It's
yeah,
getting at that stage. It's even more than the Chelsea fixture. It just you
yeah.
start to
True.
think about it every
True.
second.
Then,
But
then then I'm looking at next week. We've got on track Frankfurt away on Tuesday and Brighton on Saturday. So we have a tough week ahead of us.
no, certainly it's going to be a big month, Philip. It's going to be a massive month.
Well, squad
October is.
rotation, please, Mr. Conte. That's what you need for Eintracht, anyway.
Going to start need to seeing it. Absolutely right. But Philip, pleasure as always. Thank you for getting us started, and best of luck to us both tomorrow. Certainly,
Indeed. Let's hope we're smiling tomorrow about 2:30. See you,
absolutely,
Jack. All the
absolutely.
best. Come
Speak to
on,
you
you
soon, Philip.
Spurs.
Thanks for coming on, Philip. Best of luck. Big up, Philip. Everybody, show him some love and click that link in the chat to THFC till I die. Especially if you want to see kind of the I would say that I don't know. I call Dermot the librarian, of the of the Spurs fan base, and I think Philip is the godfather. They're just absolute wizards over there when it comes to Spurs knowledge. So definitely check them out for their watch alongs for sure. But just got some super chats to get to. Then we're going to bring our next guest, who will be actually Dermot as well of THFC till I die. Dark Sun G says, Conte is the god who gives us the away results. Yeah, absolutely, Dark Sun G. And I think we addressed that earlier, but I did just want to touch on it again and just say he is the one breaking records. And it would be sort of kind of a record in itself if Spurs got a result away from home in this one. It's been a long time since a team has gotten a result away from home, and Conte certainly is the man to do it. Dark Sun G says, tomorrow is the first time in a while Son and Kane are fit and firing before facing the Gooners away from home. 2020, Jose Son was injured in that 2-1 defeat. And then 2022, Nuno Kane was not fit in that 3-1 defeat. Very good point there. I hadn't thought about that, actually. And it's, I mean, a lot of things, actually, for this sort of fixture that the Gooners probably aren't used to. They're not used to a fit and firing duo of Kane and Son, like you just said. Hadn't even thought of that, Dark Sun G. But Bentancur, they haven't, played away from home yet. Kulusevski, of course, is going to be hurt, but Richarlison coming off the bench and the likes of Romero away from home. I'm not sure Romero played in that game away from home last season. He certainly will be able to set the tone for us. Also, the midfield is just going to be so much different than what we were with Tanguy and Delhi. I think also the likes of Longley is going to be a different sort of aspect to it, and just doing a back three in this game where we can be a bit more tight instead of having that 4-2-3-1, whatever that was with Nuno, where basically the Højbjerg was the only player playing in midfield. So Dark Sun G, I think it's just going to be an entirely different occasion. And the Gooners better be aware of that, because if they do go into this thinking that it will be like those sort of fixtures, I mean, they are going to be absolutely stomped, and that's what we want to happen. But certainly is going to be a much better Spurs for these sort of away fixtures. Absolutely right, my man. Adrian Chia just saying, hope Lego Man is stubborn enough to stick with that high line and stick to the high line. I think he is. I mean, I'd be surprised if he didn't. I mean, he would be then kind of going against what he's been trying to instill this season, Adrian. He's also playing at home. You would think they want to probably have some sort of influence on the game, put a bit of a kind of their mark on the game, you could say, their stamp on the game. And I would be surprised if he didn't go with that high line. But more reason than if you would say to go with the 3-5-2, simply because Kane is very good at being able to find Son in that 3-5-2 through the channels of that high line. And I feel like Kane, as well as perhaps a Højbjerg, is one of the better passers of the ball to be able to thread him between the lines. And certainly I think Sonny would have a field day coming up against a high line like that, especially maybe even a 3-5-2, Adrian. Andre Smith saying, hey lads, do you think Spence would get a chance in this fixture because he is he played very well with the for them, for the likes of Forest as well as Middlesbrough? I don't think he will, Andre. I think it's going to be a while before we see Spence given a chance, unfortunately. But big yourself up. Kev Williams saying, I'm sick of Spurs not showing up to the Emirates. There's no need to be scared of them. They're overperforming, and their true colors will be shown. Love that sort of energy, Kevin. It's just good to see you in the chat. And I hope that with the different set of players that we have for this away fixture, that we will be able to set the tone in a different way. But big yourself up. We're going to go on to Dermot here from THFC Till I Die. Dermot, let's see what you have to say. Big up, Dermot.
Big up, Jack. How are you today, sir?
Keeping well, seeing what the fans have to say, getting ourselves ready for tomorrow. Anything that the Godfather said from before, anything that maybe you want to touch on that we haven't spoken about yet, Dermot?
Look, we got an awful record away at the Emirates. We really do. I think the last time we won there was 2010 when we came back from 2-0 down to beat them 3-2. But we've only lost at home. We've got a great record against them. So look, we shouldn't fear going there tomorrow. We shouldn't really fear them. I think this could be a more tough game for Arsenal than it is for us. I think the game at the end of last season, mentally, I think it's still going to play in their minds. And I do think Lego Man will not get over that. I just think we'll turn up tomorrow and we're going to steamroll them.
Absolutely. Thoughts on this just quickly, Phil or Dermot? Such an early game, right? I mean, it's half noon or whatever it is.
It is. I don't know if this is right. If somebody can correct me, I really would appreciate it. I think the last time we played them 12:30 on the Saturday was the 2010 game we won 3-2. Now, I've been trying to look through the history books on that, and I can't find that. But yeah, I think that's the last time. And look, I think it's good. I think it will suit us. Arteta said in his press conference today, a lot of their players were coming back from yesterday. I think with England playing at home for the English players, and Ireland playing at home for the Irish players, I think it's been good as well. They didn't have to travel far. And I think it'll work in our favour. I just got this feeling we're going to steamroll them tomorrow.
Love that.
I just really, really do. I think we have to put down a marker tomorrow to show we're serious about winning the league this year.
Thoughts on Kulusevski being out for this one, Dermot? Is that, a huge disappointment for you? Is this point to maybe the 3-5-2, or what are your thoughts on Kulusevski being hurt? Because he is a huge loss nonetheless.
He's a loss, but we've got Richie. If we didn't have Richarlison, I think it'd be a bigger loss than
we
what
would
it
be
is.
panicking heavily.
Yeah. I think, and also we have to play 3-5-2. We cannot go in 3-4-3 because they will just overrun us in midfield.
You feel that
it
way
showed
too.
Against Leicester when we played 3-5-2, but we had that extra cover in there, and it seemed to release either Horbier or Basuma to actually get forward. Because if one goes forward, you're always going to have two at the back. With the 3-4-3, you haven't really got a chance to go forward because you sort of only got one covering the back tree, if you know what I mean. If one of your wing backs are up, you're going to be outnumbered very quickly. So I think he has to have that extra man in the field, and I think if he does go that way, I think he will. And I think Conte's a clever enough manager to realise, we can't be outnumbered in midfield. That's what happened last season with Nuno. We were overrun in midfield.
Yeah.
So
isn't the most important thing, kind of, Dermot? Philip and I were speaking about this earlier. Is kind of getting to halftime with kind of a decent scoreline, 0-0, or at least still in the game. Because what's happened before is it feels like for either team, the away team sort of shoots themselves in the foot by halftime and aren't really able to get back into the game. Isn't probably that's the most important thing to take from the previous sort of defeats, is that we need to keep our heads kind of in this game and be able to get to halftime in kind of a good state.
I think so. I think it is important to get in there with a 1-1 or a 0-0 if we can. Now, if we can go in with a 1-0 win, a 1-0 lead, that's brilliant. But I think you've got to keep it tight for the first 15, 20 minutes and then just start picking them off. I think they will play. I think Arsenal play very sort of push forward all the time. So we've got a great chance of playing counter-attacking football and pick them off because they will leave spaces. But for the first 15, 20 minutes, we have to keep it tight. And I'm just, I just think we will steamroll them tomorrow. I'm not nervous at all. I'm so excited about this one because I think it's the first time in a long while we can go there with a decent team and not fear them. There's a lot of players in that team tomorrow will go there thinking, right, we overrun your place, our place, and we're going to do the same tomorrow. They're not afraid. There's no fear factor there.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? And I think Conte, I think the players like Harry Kane and Romero knows how big a game this is. They know how big a North London derby is. And I think Conte will have it drilled into them. You do not lose. Look what happened last season. You owe the fans a performance. You owe me a performance. I know he wasn't in charge, but I think he will take it personally that we cannot go there. We haven't won there since 2010. Yeah. That's a long time not to win in away ground. At home, we're actually unbeaten against them at home, funnily enough. But away, we're just, we just cannot get a win there. Tomorrow, it will change because Conte will not let them do anything less. And I'm just so excited. I think Arteta will be crying into his Lego tomorrow night, building his little Lego whatever he's building. I think he'll be home there crying after we demolish him.
Would you take a point though tomorrow? Despite all the encouragement that will smash them, like you said, Dermot. Would you take a point?
Look, if I'm going with my head, I would bite your hand off now with a point. To be fair, if I'm being really, really honest, I think me being, we're going to smash them. I think that's the leading with your heart, leading with your bit of delusion. I think you can call it. But if somebody said to me, look, we're off you a 1-1 draw, I would take it all day long. I think taking a point from there means more. That point can mean everything at the end of the season. And, we're unbeaten in London derbies, which is unusual for us. We've got a point away at Chelsea. This is another place where we need to pick up points where we lost points last season.
True.
So if we can start, we've picked up a point at Chelsea. We can pick up a point or win at Arsenal. I think if we beat them, that'll throw it down. They'll have to take it seriously. They'll have to take it seriously down for the league because we will put down a marker. And to be top of the league going into the afternoon games, I think psychologically, I think it'd be very important because I think that would put the pressure down on everyone else. So
Peter, I'm saying a point is fine. I think a lot of people are kind of with you, Dermot, where with their heart, they want us to smash them, but with their head, they see a point being on the cards and maybe the more realistic ideal, maybe kind of a result for Spurs because it's kind of so heavily pointed towards the other side in these games, Dermot. I feel like compared to other derbies across the Premier League, it's usually favored towards the home team, don't get me wrong, but it feels like it is maybe more of a chance that the opposition or the away side can pick up some sort of a result, whereas in this one, like the proportion is so heavy towards the home team winning it. So it really is kind of a real feat to be able to get a point or even a result.
A point is great, Jack. I think Conte will probably rip your hand off for a point, but I think you've got to have a mentality. If you're going for the league, if you're going for a championship run, you have to go into these games believing you can win. And I think that's been the problem. We haven't believed we can win. Yeah. Now we have that belief. We've had a great start to the season, unbeaten. You know, Arsenal have already lost one. I mean, they're coming up against a very, very good Tottenham side that are difficult to beat. We're not playing the prettiest of football, I grant you, but we're difficult to beat. We're difficult to break down. And tomorrow they're going to see a very different side. And I'd still hark back to the last game at the Lane. Mentally, that would have scarred them.
Absolutely.
And then the collapse afterwards. And I don't think they may have started the season well, which I hate saying, but I think you've got to that game back there, Tottenham, their minds will start going back to the White Hart Lane. We lost. Why did we lose?
Yeah, and there's only two ways that they can process that. I feel like Arsenal, they can take that as a learning kind of moment, or they kind of take that as a bit of fear, and maybe they do step into this game a bit fearful of Spurs, since Spurs did get kind of the last punch. Also, like Dark Sun G, or I think Adrian Chia might have pointed out before, Dermot, that the team is so different than it was last season that they came up against. The away side that came up against Arsenal at the Emirates. That team had Tanguy and Dele in midfield, with Højbjerg the only player really doing anything in the midfield defensively. I think we had Sanchez and Dyer in a back four. Tanganga, I remember, had an absolute howler that game. It was really just a poor display from almost 1 through 11. And like he also said, we didn't have a Harry Kane that was fit or really motivated at the time either. I mean, and that Arsenal team, I mean, they absolutely tore us apart. But I mean, 3-1 still, like, you just sort of think like this is a much better Spurs. They're going to be coming to their house this time around, and they might not be aware of that.
No, I think people complain that we haven't spent in the transfer market, or we haven't bought enough players. Yeah, you can complain as much as you like, but we've bought better players for better positions, and I think going there this time, we have players that are better midfielder. I think we have a better midfield than we did last year. We've got Harry Kane. I don't think Harry Kane last year was disinterested. I think he lost motivation because of Nuno, the situation at the club.
Yeah.
You put Dele and Tanganga in any midfield, and it's never going to work. Yeah. But we've got Højbjerg, we've got Bentancur, we've got Basuma in the middle now. We've got Romero at the back with Longley. Defensively, we're better. Fraser Foster, I've got no problems with him going and goal. I think he would do a sterling job. Yeah. Like Philip, I agree with Philip. He was great at Celtic. He's a good, steady goalkeeper. He's a right man to bring in.
Yeah, that's good to hear. That gives me confidence, Dermot. That does. Yeah. Moondog.
I just want to say to Filios, I know you can see the screen on my glasses. I know it sort of brings the Dermatron thing, but yeah, I know I am going to get some contact lenses for
No, I think
certain-
it illuminates the Dermatron nature even further,
Yeah, it
Philo.
does.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. We just have a member super chat from Moondog
Yeah.
that I missed from earlier. Big yourself up, Moondog, and I apologize for missing that, my man. And he's a member for 3 months, and he says, "Good afternoon, Jack. It is a good afternoon, I bet, for you, Moondog. Still kind of morning time over here, about to approach early afternoon, you could say, or kind of late morning. Almost 11 a.m. over here. But perhaps a moon boots bet tomorrow. We're going to need somebody to score, Moondog. And like I said before, Gianni Vio has been kind of secretly the guy that is one of the reasons why we are at the top of the table, because some of our most important goals scored this season have come from set pieces. And we can thank Gianni Vio as well as Moon Boots, actually, Moondog, for those goals. And who knows, perhaps he can get us a good goal tomorrow that can get us
Do you know,
a
I got a
result.
sneaky position he may score tomorrow, Dyer.
It wouldn't be
I've just
a
got
bad
the
one. Wouldn't be
sneaky
a bad
feeling
guess.
he may get one in. So Moondog,
Yeah.
get your bets on. I may even put a sneaky bet on
You never
Dyer
know.
tomorrow.
You never know. And I know Moondog. He certainly he could smell the dire bet potential. He
Yeah.
could smell the potential from it. Dark Sun G here, Dermot, gonna take the super chat with you, and then we're gonna let you plug your channel. He says, "This is why you spend the money. Even without Kulusevski, we have Richie and Basuma, which are great options that we never had last season. So we had Winks, Deli, and Stevie as the alternatives. I mean, absolutely right, but." This is kind of a good point that he's bringing up here, because while we lost Kulusevski, we can now see the reasoning to probably transition to that 3-5-2 Dermot. And that 3-5-2 isn't exactly a huge drop off. Like, we're able to put in another quality midfielder in the case of Basuma to help out Bentancur and Højbjerg. And then we can leave Kane and Son up top together as an absolute world-class duo. And then if we need more, we can bring on Richarlison. It just sort of, even if you lose one of your best players in Kulusevski, there's still other kind of avenues and kind of ways for Conte to still set up a good team.
Yeah, look, for me, the 3-5-2 also released Sonny. I think Sonny in the 3-4-3 is sort of stuck on the wing, and it doesn't suit his game. You changed to a 3-5-2, and look what happened against Leicester. He gets a hat-trick. It sort of gives him that free role to go where he wants and play how he wants. And I think that last half hour or second half at Leicester has shown Conte you can trust Basuma. And I thought he was a class in the midfield when they came on, Basuma, for me. I was delighted to see. And with Charlton as well, it gives you a chance to either play a 3-4-3 if you want to play with Charlton on the wing, which he has done, or play him up front if you're chasing the game. So, you have got the options there with him to there or put him on the wing or put him up front. Look, I agree with Dark Sanjay. I think we've been very smart with our business. Okay, we didn't get a centre back, which we're all after, and we didn't get a great midfielder, which I think we will get in January. I think I'm hearing Bastoni's they're trying to get Bastoni to sign a pre-contract.
Interesting.
Before, and also Madison as well has said to friends, and I've read this somewhere, that he wants to come to Tottenham. He wants to play under Conte. So, look, with Conte now saying he wants to stay, I think you will see the players like Bastoni and Madison come to the club.
Yeah.
I just think tomorrow we're going as a different animal altogether.
Yeah.
I know
what you mean.
The Spurs, the pride.
Just a whole different squad, a whole different vibe that will be out there on that team.
Yeah, I think it's more of a Tottenham that, for me, it reminds me of the 80s. There's an 80s vibe about this team. That
I like that. I like to hear that. Dermot.
It's sort of like we know we can win stuff. We know we're on the verge, but we've got players in there that have won stuff. Longlay's won stuff. I think a few other players have won. Conte's a serial winner. I mean, you want to see him as a player. He's the same as a player as he is a manager. And, long may the reign of Conte continue, because as long as that man's in charge, I think he will be the greatest manager since Keith Birkinshaw.
Love that.
But he has to win a European trophy to actually,
certainly, it's going to have to do a lot. He's going to have to start bringing some silverware in. That's certainly true.
Look, if we win the League Cup this season and finish third in the league or second in the league, I'd be over the moon with that. That'd be a great stepping stone to next season.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
I would love us to win the FA Cup. I'm still saying that we will do the cup double this year because I'm very confident we will. But look, a League Cup and second in the league, that for me, that's progression.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
I'm beat Scum tomorrow, and I'm happy with that.
Definitely. Definitely. Love to hear that, Dermot. And big up Dark Sun G. And it's certainly a much better team with much better options and much better kind of a sort of workarounds in case one of our big players is missing. Absolutely right, Dark Sun G. But big yourself up. But Dermot, little plug for THFC till I die, please.
Yeah, we were due to have the Mickey Hazard show tonight, but sadly, Mr. Hazard had a previous engagement that he couldn't get out of, so we've
No
had to push
worries.
it back to Monday at 8 o'clock. So I'm so looking forward to it. Yeah, Mickey Hazard was my Spurs hero.
Yeah.
I was when we were in the school ground at school as a kid. I was Mickey Hazard. I just loved the man. I loved the person. I love played, but he is my all-time Spurs hero. So get to speak to him Monday is a bit of a surreal moment. I'm
I
so looking
bet.
forward to it. I feel like a kid in a candy store. Me and Ellie have got the golden game tonight at 8. We're going back to 1984. We're going to relive the UEFA Cup final against Anderlecht, Tony Parks, and everything that happened. And then we're doing the watch along tomorrow. Post match show on Sunday with we think Dino Daguna, win, lose or draw, is coming back onto the show again. So be great. A bit more banter if we beat them. And
Nice.
then of course we've got the Champions League next week. Mickey has a show Monday. Champions League, then build up to the Brighton start. So it's busy and
Certainly.
busy up to the World Cup, and we will be doing World Cup watch alongs as well. So we'll be doing Canada, USA, and we're going to do Argentina ones because I think Argentina will win the World Cup. So
Good
we're going to
shout
cover a
there.
few. Yeah,
Good shout there.
we're going to follow a few teams. So yeah, so please everyone, we're at 20. I think we're 28 away from 700. So if we can get there before the Arsenal game tomorrow, I'd be very happy.
Absolutely.
But please like and subscribe here first. Let's get these guys to 10k because they truly
Absolutely.
deserve it. This is the mothership to my channel. Always has, always will be. Both
Absolutely.
of them legends and gentlemen. So thank you very much for having me on, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. But big up, Dermot. Thanks for coming on, brother, and really appreciate you giving up your time. And everybody, please check out all that content that he was plugging. Absolute tons of stuff going on over at THFC till I die. But Dermot, come on, you Spurs, and we'll be seeing you very soon, brother.
See you soon, Jack. I'm going to send you I've done a Mickey Hazard little tribute intro, so I'm going to send it to you on WhatsApp. So I've been working hard on that, so I'll send it to you probably. So see what you think. God bless everyone, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Dermot. See you soon, brother.
See you soon.
Everybody, big show Dermot some love in that chat there. Please hit that link and please get them to 700. It certainly needs to happen soon. I think he'd be smashing a deadline pretty quickly, actually, with that 700. So please help him out. Big up Dermatronus. Pierogi says there. Dark Sun G with the super chat says, is it true Udogi rejected Inter and Juventus for us? I have no idea, Dark Sun G. But in the case of Juventus, I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to leave the likes of the Serie A, and with Juventus really kind of being quite unstable at this moment in time, but not really being the top dogs anymore. I feel like that move to Juventus wouldn't really be as much of a vertical step for him or as much of a big step for him. In fact, he'd be kind of sort of moving into a bit of a dumpster fire, if you ask me, kind of situation over at Juventus. And then with Inter Milan, I guess there's a lot of competition over there. It would make sense if he went there. I guess they got Federico DiMarco. They have Robin Gosens. I think another player I'm probably missing as well that they might have at left wing back. But he probably be able to get into that Inter Milan team, but I'm not sure really. I think he probably just wanted that move to the likes of the Premier League. And Paratici, we know, is very good at convincing players that he has a real fondness of and he has a real kind of talent eye for. And I think we've gotten this one absolutely right. And I'm not sure if he rejected those two teams, but with kind of how I just laid it out there, Dark Sun G, perhaps there's some logic with him kind of rejecting those two teams. And big yourself up though, Dark Sun G, and it's a good comment. But just wanted to get to some comments from Jack here saying the pressure is on Arteta. Spent 400 million, and if they don't win things, things will escalate for him. By the way, he is no touch on Conte as a manager. Absolutely right, Jack. And I think there are a lot of things that are sort of I don't know. I feel like Arteta is sort of, coming together with maybe a semblance of a very good team. And you can kind of see the sort of Lego project kind of coming together now. But I don't know. I think the 400 million, the continuing to miss out on top four, as much as they've played pretty football, the results haven't exactly been very convincing, Jack. So there's not really a lot to point towards where he has maybe made the team look a lot prettier on paper, but I don't know, like they haven't exactly achieved anything of real significance yet. In fact, Arsene Wenger was sort of still, punching above his, I don't know if they were punching above their weight, but they were definitely putting in better sort of finishes at least, and definitely pointing towards more sort of results. I know he got that sort of FA Cup trophy, but I think that was kind of a gimmick considering they really were just playing like just I don't know. It was a bit of a fluke if you ask me, and I just feel like he doesn't really have a lot that he can point towards. The Lego man, big up Jack. He also says, I also strongly believe that Patrick Vieira is a much better manager than Arteta. That's just my opinion. No, I think there was a bit of a job trial or a bit of a job interview when Crystal Palace absolutely smashed them last season, towards the end of the last season there, Mr. Jack Goff. So I feel like Patrick Vieira has probably shown Arteta at least once that he can get the better of him. And even in that opening game of the season, I thought that was a bit unfair. I believe that Crystal Palace team had barely even trained together, practiced together at all before that game. They did look a bit discombobulated, a bit disorganized. So it's not really a surprise that Arteta got a result, but it wasn't even that convincing. Like, if you ask me, it really wasn't, especially when you looked at the second half. But big up, really good points there, my man. Just figured I'd touch on them. But we're going to get Adrian Chia quickly with a super chat saying, any insights on how to neutralize Jesus or man mark him? Maybe a perfect person to bring on then. I'm actually not going to take this alone. I'm going to bring on our guest here, Mr. Michael out in Poland. And I think he's an excellent tactician for maybe sort of answering this kind of question here. Big up, Michael.
Hey, hi. Yeah. I honestly.
Do you have any kind of noise in the background potentially?
Wait a second. It's good now? Yeah, because I have open door and my girlfriend is watching TV, so maybe.
Yeah. I think we're fine. We could be fine, but just a tiny bit down would probably be okay. Just for copyright is all really it is, Michael. Just in case.
It might be better now.
Yeah, it was just really more for that copyright kind of stuff. Sometimes something can get picked up. But
Yeah.
Jesus, what do you do with Jesus?
Phew. Oh Jesus, yeah.
How do you man mark him? Because I think he's somebody that will be drifting all over the place. Eric Dyer is probably somebody that'll have to keep an eye on him, considering he's kind of in the middle of the pitch anyways. But I don't know. He has looked good. He's been very tricky customer. He has really good, dribbling abilities. I mean, he is going to be a tough one to neutralize.
Yeah, I think the problem with man marking Jesus is, as you said, he likes to drift a lot. I think we spoke about it when Brian Daigle was here. I think it was Thursday or Wednesday, whatever.
Yeah.
That their left back pushes up to join the winger, and Jesus tucks in to that side, and they create a 3 versus 2 overload on each side. And he does that on both sides, and he also, when the opportunity arises, he also plays through the middle. So you cannot necessarily man mark him, because then you would pull your players out of position. So if for example Romero had a task of man marking Jesus, if he moved to our left side, then Romero can't man mark him because he will leave a big hole there, right? So I feel like we generally have to be cautious about him, and everyone has to be like aware of his presence wherever he is, right? Yeah, he's a brilliant player. I honestly didn't expect him to make such a big impact on that team, because you can clearly see how big of an upgrade he is compared to Lacazette. And I know Aubameyang has been brilliant for them, like in the previous years. Maybe not necessarily the last season, right? But the previous years, Aubameyang was really good. But from Lacazette and from Nketiah, massive upgrade. And yeah, he's their danger man, in my opinion. Of course, there are plenty of other players whom I'm concerned about.
They haven't had, though, like last season, what they really lacked was a real focal point as a striker. Because you can see what Jesus is doing is actually if anything, Michael, it's just what a basic quality striker would do. Is he's taking a lot of shots inside the box. He's able to get past his marker and be able to kind of create kind of some problems. He seems to follow the instructions of Arteta very well. Jesus, by the looks of things, he's just basically the striker that they've been asking for kind of for some time. And it is a bit of a scary thing to think about because we had been playing them before where maybe that striker position wasn't as strong as it is now.
Yeah. Like, the difference between him and a typical number 9, like, for example, let's take Lewandowski as an example, right?
Sure.
He plays through the middle. He's a typical number 9. He's a finisher, but you can actually attempt to man mark him because he will always be in that position in the middle,
And he
right?
takes up similar,
Yeah,
typical spaces. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Jesus is I don't want to say that he plays like a false 9 because false 9's job is way different than what he does. False 9 links up the
But he's
play
all
and
over the
he's more
place.
of
He
a
takes up.
provider, right? But
Yeah.
he's all over the place. So he's really hard to catch. Yeah, him,
He takes up like unusual
Martinelli.
positions or unorthodox positions, maybe as a striker compared to maybe a Lewandowski
Yeah.
would.
Yeah. If I never looked at his heat maps, but I guess they would be much more like spread out throughout
Sure.
the pitch. Whereas like Lewandowski or Kane
It's
or
kind of in the
Haaland,
central area.
yeah, it's essentially and in that middle section of the pitch, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I am a bit concerned about him, but you know, yeah, the main difference between this match and all the previous North London derbies that I watched is that I am turbo confident in our manager. We had Mourinho, but there were always doubts about his like whether he's past it or not, and
Yeah, true.
the results also didn't fill you with confidence, even though that when we won against them 2-0 in that season that Mourinho got sacked, but in the first half where we were top of the league by November, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
We won 2-0 against them. We won 2-0 against City. We drew with Chelsea. So generally, the results have been good, but the performances have been way worse than they
I know
are
what you
now, in
mean.
my opinion. Yeah.
I know what you mean. Do you feel like Conte is the best sort of manager, Michael, to get this sort of point or this maybe who knows 3 points that has sort of been so hard to get for the away side? I've said this to each guest is like the proportion of wins for the home team in this particular derby is much higher than I think other derbies. It really does show that the home team, no matter what sort of form or anything going into it, the home team usually finds a way to win, no matter what. Can Antonio Conte be kind of the one guy? Is he kind of one of the only guys that can sort of break that trend, do you think?
Yeah, with previous derbies where we went there when we are like on top of our game and they necessarily haven't been like at their best. The problem was I'm talking like mainly, for example, Pochettino years, right? I think the main problem was that uh, I don't want this to sound like strange, but I think that we were naive because we were doing way better than Arsenal, and this led us to believe that we can go there, play our game, and not necessarily care about what they do. At least I had sometimes had that feeling that and also this team that we played in the like 16-17 season, our team was young and was,
True.
as I said, a bit naive, right? And
True.
the manager himself was like an advocate of open play, being like crafty, and
Yeah.
sometimes in those type of fixtures you just have to be like a see you next Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
This is
yeah, I
what
know what
David
you mean.
says, right? So
It's not
yeah,
just beautiful football that wins these sort of games. It's not going to be just beautiful football. It can't be silky passing patterns that's going to get you to destroy Arsenal or vice versa Spurs. It's going to be a bit more than that. I agree.
yeah, like I feel like Arsenal plays a really nice brand of football, but actually they are showing a lot of same patterns. And this isn't something that I noticed myself because like I'm not that good, but I've watched a couple of tactical
Uh-huh.
analysis of their style of play, and they approach games often similarly. They
Yeah.
played the same way against Fulham, Brentford, and all these other games, where the thing that I described, they create an overload on the wing. Then one of your defensive midfielders has to help out the wing, and then they create an overload in the middle, right? And
Right.
either they win the ball on the side and have a way in from the side, or they pass the ball to the middle and then they try to go through the middle, right? Which I think if you present such a pattern in your game, it is counterable, in my opinion. And who
And
else?
Spurs seem set up for those type of teams, right? Don't we
Yeah, yeah,
have kind of historically, as well as we just have the personnel, the type of players to, kind of undo that type of system? Because if anything, I agree with you, where Arsenal seem to set up kind of similarly against most teams, and they seem to play similarly against most teams, but there is a sort of naivete in that in a certain regard, because if they do that against Spurs, kind of similar to Man United, they could get torn apart in certain moments where maybe they play silky football against us. Maybe they have some nice passing patterns and maybe create a few nice chances. But you can also realize that we could do the same thing Man United did, which is just kill them on the break. And all of a
yeah.
sudden you're 2-0 up sort of
Yeah,
situation.
they are creating a lot of dangerous situations, but I would go as far to say that they aren't good at finishing. Because
Hmm.
actually, when you look at some of those games, they could have won those games by a higher scoreline if they had like a designated finisher. Even though like Jesus has like 4 goals, and Martinelli has 2 or 3, and that they are scoring goals. I'm not saying that because
I
they
know what
have
you mean.
only
I think I do know
one.
what you mean. They waste a lot of chances. I agree
Yeah,
emphatically.
they waste a lot of chances. And what I see as a big plus in on our side, a big advantage is that we don't allow a high like XG chances, or whatever you want to call it, right? We
To
concede
be
a lot of
wasted.
shots, but a lot of those shots are from outside the box. And
True.
other than Odegaard and maybe Xhaka, if like 1 out of 10 games he can come up with a screamer, but it's not consistent, right? You can, because there are some players that are consistently good at shooting from outside the box, like Sonny is, for example, which I also feel like he should be doing a lot more in
Hmm.
certain games. Like
Hmm.
we saw that against Leicester, he just pinged 2 balls in the like top
Yeah, you're
corner
right. He
with
should.
different corner. Like it was absolutely glorious goals. Yeah, so on paper, I feel like there is like a lot of things that we could do to stop them. My concern is whether we will do those things, because I feel like some of our players tend to like go down tools a bit for those type of games. But then again, I come back to Conte. I am so confident in this guy, like
Confident that we've
absolutely,
changed. That's what it
yeah,
all is
confident
with
that we've
Conte.
changed. Yeah,
We're so confident that we've changed, or that some of the old habits of Spurs have maybe been, I don't know, have gone away, but in kind of, or at least are kind of limited or not really as prevalent anymore in our game. And I think that's been the benefit of Conte. Certain, I hate using the word, but I'm going to use it here. The Spursy kind of ness of the teams of the past, we've seen it kind of be kind of eroding away, or sort of going away because of Antonio Conte. And this North London derby away from home is a great opportunity, I think, Michael, to and if anything, I said this before, all the teams in this kind of fixture, they seem to sort of shoot themselves in the foot in some way in
yeah,
the first half, and they kind of go into the end of the first half where the game's already lost or the game's already finished. If anything, I think the most important goal going into tomorrow is to get into halftime where the game is still within reach, or the game is actually in our favor. Who knows? It could be that great. But the game, we want the game to still be within reach by halftime, because no team has been able to do that
yeah,
recently. Like no team.
yeah.
Both
Like
teams have struggled to get to first half at the end of the first half with like a good score line on their side.
Yeah, if you look like for the past 7, 8, 9 years, pretty much every North London derby is done by the half,
Yeah.
the end of the first half, right? The one at our ground, it was 2-0 and they had a red card, right? At
Hmm.
their ground it was 3-0 and we were completely like shambolic, right? If
Yep.
you look at the previous season where Mourinho was here, I think that
The sunny
we
goal.
we
Yeah.
scored yeah we
Yeah.
scored 2 goals in the first half, and there was no coming back from that. And I think in the reverse fixture, didn't Lamela get sent off and we conceded the second goal
Yeah,
after?
he scored it. He
He
scored the
scored
equalizer and then got sent off.
the
Yeah.
yeah, which he got Puskas for award for that, and then he
What a
got sent off,
performance.
typical Coco. Yeah, typical Coco. But yeah, this manager is absolutely like crucial in my opinion. Like
Mhm.
you know where you can compare squads and say that I've seen like a couple of videos making combined 11s, and it was usually like what, 6 Spurs players, 5 Arsenal players, 6 Arsenal players, 5 Spurs players. So squads are equal in my opinion. I personally think that we have a bit of a better squad. If you look like as a whole in terms of combined 11, if you just pick the best players, it's equal. But as a whole squad, we have a better depth and we have like better coverage for certain
Mhm.
positions, for most positions
I
actually.
agree.
But I think that our biggest advantage is the manager. I feel like, because I think we explored those type of situations. If we go 1-0 up at halftime at that fixture, I I am confident that Conte will see this game out,
I think we have a
unless
better
unless
chance
we
of
yeah
seeing it out than Arsenal would if they were 1-0 up in our stadium. If they were 1-0 up in our stadium by halftime, I think we know as Spurs fans we have still a good chance at, getting a result here. Whereas
yeah
if they were 1-0 down at halftime against Antonio Conte, I think a lot of Arsenal fans would be pretty nervous thinking about the second half because if anything, even if they do equalize, I really doubt they would win because I think Antonio Conte would make it almost impossible for Spurs to lose in that situation if they were 1-0 up like that, like
Yeah,
you said.
yeah, it's an immense pressure if you are 1-0 down in like at halftime in a derby, right? And not only on players but also on manager. And we've seen Arteta crumble under pressure, in my opinion. He was under pressure at the end of last season, and whereas it was players failing or him failing, I think it was a bit of both. They lost to us, they lost to Newcastle, right? He was under pressure in a United game. They equalized, and instead of like stabilizing the game, because actually I think that they played well in that game, they just were naive. And
Hmm.
this comes back to my point about Spurs from like 7 years ago or 5 years ago, where we were playing an amazing brand of football, but we were naive and we weren't like
I know what you
clinical
mean.
enough and we weren't deadly. And I think similar thing happened in this fixture against United. They would have won that game if they played with a cool head, in my opinion. But
Mm,
instead, they equalized, and then Arteta threw like 5 attackers onto the
yeah,
pitch. He completely opened up, and Ten Hag capitalized on it. And this is our strength. I am confident if Conte saw something similar happen, I think that he is a perfect manager to capitalize on
I
the
agree.
opposition manager's mistakes, right?
And we know he spends a lot of time in the tactics room, Conte.
Yeah.
He talks about that a lot. So you're absolutely right. Michael, give us that score prediction. Jack wants your score prediction. Maybe some goal scorers as well.
Okay. So like the safest prediction for me, like okay, I
1-1.
believe it.
You're
No,
welcome
no,
to
no,
give a
no,
draw,
no, no,
and
no,
you're
no, no,
welcome
no.
to also you're welcome to predict a draw because I think even Philip said he would probably take a 1-1. I think is what
Yeah,
Philip wanted to say.
don't get me wrong. I would take a draw, but this is. I will tell you this. I predict 2-1 for us, but I think the most probable scoreline will be 2-2. So,
Yeah, I agree there.
if I were to put a bet on something, I would probably say 2-2. But I believe that we can actually pull this off. And I
If we
know
were to
this,
win it,
this
it would be a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
2-1. Yeah, I see
This
what you're
this
saying.
might be naive from me, but I want to believe. I always say that I watch Spurs to believe basically, and it for me it is a definition of being a football fan, because otherwise, why would you support anyone else other than
Absolutely.
like City? Because
Absolutely.
if you want guaranteed success, then go there. I want to believe that something magical will happen.
Yeah, you gotta love these sort of nerves
Yeah.
going into this game. You gotta love it. It's exactly what it's made for. Absolutely right, Michael. Well, hopefully we can speak to you Monday. If it's good news, we'll be celebrating, having the party poppers out, discussing the result. If not, I'm pretty sure we'll have a good tactical discussion, maybe talking about maybe how it went wrong. But hopefully we never have to talk about that. But
Yeah,
Michael,
yeah. Listen,
nonetheless, we'll be seeing you soon, brother.
yeah, listen. If we lose, shit happens. Like it's nothing new if we lose, right? We can
And we're
only
still
get
only
positive.
eight games into the season as well.
Yeah, we can only get positively like surprised, right? If we lose, I know we will be down, we will feel bad, but it happened for previous, like, what, 26 out of 27 years or something. So it's technically nothing new, but I want to be surprised, and I believe that we can win. Actually,
Let's get the
I think it's the best chance that we had at winning that game for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. Big up, Michael. Really appreciate you coming on, and we'll see
Bye.
you very soon, brother. Come on, you
Bye.
Spurs. Catch
Go
Michael.
on, you Spurs.
Big up Michael in the chat. Everybody show him some love. Absolute genius. He is. Love chatting to him. And also, he really does have an excellent tactical mind, I will say. But we're going to keep going to our next guest of the evening. Mr. Daniel Daddy Hoiberg is in the house, here to talk about this North London Derby fixture. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Daniel, how you keeping, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing okay, kind of psyching myself up, as well as, trying to be a bit tame, trying to be a bit calm. Don't want to get too ahead of myself here. And maybe this is a good question, Daniel. You don't need to have a good answer for it. But as we brought up, it's been 13 years since we beat them away. This is one of those derbies in the Premier League, right, where it feels like the home team always finds a way to win, regardless of form, regardless of how it may be. Do you feel like it could be different this time around? And also, why is it so hard to get a result? It's a tough question, I know.
Yeah.
Maybe just first question, like, why is it so hard to get it? Why is it so hard to get a result away from home, and maybe in this fixture?
I mean, it's their cup final, just like West Ham almost. Like, it's their main fixture, just like us at home. So
that's true.
It's always tough, even when they're crap and we've been good. We can't get a result anyway. So
much pride is on the line for it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like players do they give like an extra? You would like to think they give 100% in every game, but maybe this is really the game where they leave it all out on the field, probably, and that might be why as well.
Yeah, average players turn into superstars
in these sort of games.
Yeah.
Emerson, right? Like, I think some people said Emerson can sometimes turn into a superstar in these kind of games. You're absolutely right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
and Granit Xhaka could turn into a superstar. Hopefully not, but yeah, I know what you mean. It turns the average kind of pretty poor player into a whole different type of player. That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But kind of some other questions for this evening that we have lined up is with Kulusevski injured. Do you feel like there's chance for the 3-5-2 to happen here then, Daniel? I know it's kind of a bad omen that Kulusevski is out, but now this does point towards 3-5-2, don't you think?
Well, I hope so. I think, like I said, I think three in midfield is so important for this to balance out there, because they play three in midfield. So it's so important. And hopefully now unfortunately, I love Kulu to bits, and he will be insane for this match, but that's the case, I will go for a 3-5-2 with Son and Kane up top. Richie to come on during the second half at one point to just aggravate and run at tired legs as well. Yeah.
Is it better to save Richie, do you think? Like kind of almost keep him kind of riled up on the on the bench like a caged animal kind of situation, and then just unleash him on the Gooners?
Yeah,
later?
I think so. I think that would be a fantastic super sub to have for this game.
He'd also, I think, if we were trying to chase the game, Michael, I think he'd be a good player, right? Because we can start maybe conservatively with that 3-5-2. Maybe we don't put all of our attackers out there. We don't put all of our forwards out there. But let's say worst case scenario, we are trying to chase the game, trying to, claw back a result. It's great to have Richarlison then come on full of energy.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen, I haven't been able to ask somebody about this yet, but Hugo and Pierre have released a bit of an interview. It's on Spurs Play. It's also on their YouTube channel, the main Tottenham Hotspur YouTube channel. It's basically just them kind of, just two Vikings, sort of chatting it out, about their leadership, about kind of anything that they've gone through that maybe they could offer as advice. Were you able to catch any snippets of it?
No, I haven't watched. No. But
we were able to hear Pierre. He spoke about his time when he moved over to Bayern, Daniel, and he spoke about how he had to move to Bayern from Denmark at like 16 years old or whatever it was. And he said how he had to mature as a player very quickly. And he said he had to more or less, and I think in his words, he said, become a man kind of very quickly. I don't know. I think it was kind of insightful. I don't need to, speak too much on it, but I think you would like it. It was a good kind of Pierre interview.
definitely watch it. Yeah, I love hearing him speak, so that's fine.
Yeah, he's very well spoken.
Yeah,
Do you have any kind of oh, this one came up right. The Hugo Lloris injury. Hugo is one of the players with some physical problems, says Conte, but we hope to see him on Saturday. A lot of people have had faith in Fraser Forster if he were to come in. Like a lot of people say, he is a good goalkeeper. They rate him. They wouldn't be too worried. Are you kind of in that camp, or would you be pretty worried if Hugo is out?
I wouldn't be too worried. This is not. This is probably the best backup we've had
In a while.
years. Yeah. If it was
Yeah.
Scolini, I would be absolutely probably going. I don't know where I would.
You'd be behind the couch.
Yeah. Hide. So and he had a masterclass last time for Southampton when he played them. So I don't. That wouldn't be the biggest issue. So I'm not. Yeah, that wouldn't be the. Yeah.
Big up Killian, just saying hi to Killian in the chat. Pick yourself up. When it comes to let me see here. Yeah, danger men potentially for Arsenal. Is there a certain player in that team, in the Gooners, that you're a bit afraid of? That a guy that could cause us some problems. Somebody that you'll be keeping an eye on.
Martinelli for me.
Yeah, he's tricky, right?
Yeah, I really rate him, and I think Jesus is going to be causing a little bit of damage. And I think Ødegaard as well. He had a very poor game for Norway during the week, so he's probably going to have a masterclass now. Knowing my luck.
that's probably true, actually.
Yeah.
Martinelli, though, I agree. Actually, I think we were talking about actually the chances that Arsenal waste. I feel like Martinelli. The one thing I don't know, like he could punish us because I've seen him waste a few chances, but it feels like in a North London derby, he's the type of player that wouldn't then, right? He thinks about the chances. Maybe he's missed in other games. That North London derby comes in. It's almost like that extra bit of adrenaline almost probably helps him kind of finish it, because I will say, I think Martinelli is kind of a shout I haven't heard from people in terms of danger men, but I agree with you. I think the way he kind of skins past players, he's super quick, really good touch and everything. He's a tricky customer, I would say. Very tricky.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's actually I think he looks a bit better sometimes than even Saka does. He almost looks more dangerous than even Bukayo Saka does in certain situations.
Yeah, that's true. And he's never really scored. Well, he's never scored against us, so hopefully that continues.
How's our man Højbjerg going to do in this match? Does he need some help? Do you want like Basuma and Bentancur to help him out in this one? He can't get overrun like he did last time, because last season, Daniel, remember, it was Dele and Ndombele just abandoning him.
Yeah, it was alone in the field. I mean, it was less space on the moon. I remember that quote. Jesus, what a mess. So no, but I think we need Basuma and Bentancur to help him. But yeah, he's going to be fantastic. I mean, he's man of the match last time, of course, at home for us. So
Definitely love that. Any weaknesses that maybe Arsenal? Any weaknesses of Arsenal? People spoke about that high line. Maybe a particular player or something that you think maybe Spurs could take advantage of. Any weaknesses of Arsenal that you've noticed?
Well, I think depends if who's playing left back. If Shevchenko is playing left back, I think there is space to exploit there, because he's going to be so far forward, almost like a midfielder, of course.
That's true.
So I would go and hopefully Son is going to play left, right? So hopefully
Son plays on the left, but if it were a 3-5-2, if it were a 3-5-2, Son could technically kind of rotate anywhere.
Yeah,
maybe he could. Yeah. If I recall, actually, Daniel, in that 3-5-2, what often happens is Sonny does kind of play in the middle or kind of on the right slightly, because Harry Kane can then cut inside on his right from the left to then be able to like play a pass to the likes of Son running in behind. So I think it does sort of work that way. And Zinchenko could probably get caught out. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And also, of course,
go ahead.
Son's 2 goals against Leicester, first 2 was on like the right side. Of course, it was 2 world-class goals, but but definitely like Zinchenko plays, that's going to be the side.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of last 2 questions for you here, my man. Would you take a point tomorrow? Is a point a big result for you? Is that something you're probably celebrating, or would you want something more?
I don't really celebrate draws, but I will take it. I will definitely take it.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be like woo, but I'd be like, yeah, okay, goodbye. Don't have to play this fixture again.
if anything, you just don't really feel probably too defeated. You probably actually have maybe a slight grin on your face, I would imagine, if you kind of got a draw, because it's been a long time since a team has been able to even get a point away from home in this sort of fixture. So I think that would be a good result for Spurs. It'd be actually more worry signs for Arsenal, I think, if we got a point in this game. I think that'd be a bigger loss for them than it would be for us, for sure.
It also depends on how we play, who dominates the game as well. If we're on top and then we get a draw, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. But of course, if they're the better team and we get a draw, then I would be happy.
Certainly. Daniel, any score predictions as well as scorers? Give me your goal scorers. Give me that score prediction, brother.
Ooh. I'm gonna go 2-1 to Spurs.
2-1. A lot of people, that seems to be the common result for the win.
And I think I'm gonna say Kane and Richie off the bench. If that
Kane and Richie. So maybe Kane in the first half, Richie in the second?
Yeah. First Premier League goal winner. That would be insane.
I like that.
The only issue I have for this game, such an early kickoff. Like, this could ruin the goddamn weekend. What time is for you? It's
7:30 a.m. It's going to be 7:30 a.m. Yeah, I know. It's not going to be a nice way to start off the weekend. It'll be very nerve-wracking. Very nerve-wracking way to start off the weekend for sure, Daniel. But pleasure as always, brother. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for chatting with me. Got through all the questions. I feel like, we got to have your say on it. Hopefully you're pumped up and not too nervous like I am for tomorrow, my man.
I'm shitting myself.
I think we all are. Good to see the honesty. Pick up, Daniel. We'll be chatting to you soon.
Take care and have a good weekend.
You as well, brother. Catch you soon. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Big up, Daniel. Everybody, big up Daniel in the chat. Show him some love, please. We have a member super chat. 10 months as a fan show member from Amir in Israel Uncovered. Do check out his channel, everybody. Saying time for the whole fan base to get behind all of our boys and Conte. Let's go out there tomorrow and smash the daylights out of that scum. Come on, you Spurs. The Woolwich Wanderers hopefully will be wandering back down south after we smash them there, Amir. Maybe we give them such a spanking that they actually decide to pick up their bags and move back to South London, the Woolwich Wanderers. Big yourself up, Amir, and really do appreciate your support, brother. And hopefully we can catch you Monday on the fan show and we can have your say, because I really do miss seeing what Amir has to say about the scum. I do love your banter towards them, Amir. Pick yourself up. Last guest of the evening, everybody. Then we'll end off, and we do have a combined 11 later to do with the likes of Northside, which certainly will be fun, led by myself. So do stay tuned for that one. But we're going to the last guest of the evening, our man out in Germany, Rufus. Du kannst hören mich. There we go.
I hope the connection works. I had to go on my mobile phone today because my internet's broke. So,
I'm sorry to hear that. But I can tell you want to have your say. You switched to the data then, so that's how much you want to have your say. Good to hear.
That was just nice to say hello and look forward to the game tomorrow.
Are you nervous like me? Or are you nervous like Daniel? Because Daniel, I'll admit, I'm kind of. These are the sort of games I kind of. Like I said before, Rufus, on Monday, I think about the game, a few times. By like Friday, I'm thinking about this game every other second.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I started off at the beginning of the week. Yeah, North London derby, blah, 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 blah. But today was just sort of like the whole day thinking about it and talking to Jacob about it yesterday and where we're going to watch it because I don't have internet here for Sky.
How's he? Is he full of nerves? Is Jacob full of nerves or is he confident?
Yeah, he's the same. We're sort of like both like ramped up for the game, but a bit superstitious, sometimes.
People are happy to see you in the chat, Rufus. People are happy to see you.
If we're going to eat, we eat afterwards. So
Good man. Well, we had plenty of questions lined up for today, Rufus. A kind of a common starting point that we've had is that Kulusevski is potentially out for this one. Does that mean we go to that 3-5-2?
Yeah, I was absolutely gutted to hear today when I got home from work that he's out. Or it looks like he's going to be out. A couple of people said maybe he starts, maybe he don't. But I definitely think it works with a 3-5-2, and I'd like to see us play that. And obviously, that's the one Conte always seemed to cut first was Kulusevski. So
No.
Although I have to admit that I actually preferred Richarlison when he came on for Son on the other side. I preferred those performances to him being over on the right, if I'm honest.
Interesting. Yeah. Would you feel like, I don't know, Rufus, I said this before, like maybe having Richarlison come on, off the bench in like the second half in case we need to chase the game or whatever it may be situation, feels like that's a better approach if you don't have Kulusevski, because Richarlison, you don't maybe want to waste all of your star strikers in the first half. Maybe it sort of makes sense now that we don't have Kulusevski to go into this game a bit more conservative.
Yeah, I think we have to go into it conservative. But then again, it's difficult, isn't it? It would also be awesome to see Tottenham score one after 30 seconds or something with Sonny, and set the tone for the game.
Love that. Yeah.
Because a fast goal can really. But I don't want us to go out for it and go absolutely crazy and get caught out, because they are a sort of team that will punish you if you give them a bit of space.
I know what you mean. This has also been a game, though, Rufus, and we've spoke about this before, but I don't know if you heard it, where it feels like the away side in this North London derby has always gone into halftime, basically, where the game is already lost. They shot themselves in the foot kind of in one way or another. Rob Holding, right, getting that red card against Sonny. Last season, the way we were with Nuno, basically abandoning Højbjerg in the midfield. For some reason, we went all guns a-blazing and decided to take the game to them, and we were 3-0 down by halftime. It sort of feels like, the away side often sort of isn't able to get to halftime in a good position, if you know what I mean. So that, I think, is the most important step, is getting to halftime where the game is still within reach.
Wasn't it underread that when we were 2-0 or 3-0 up at halftime? I forget what it was, because it was a bad day, because they just came out and hammered us in the second half. I remember leaving the pub before the end of the game also. Just one of those moods.
What a shit show. Yeah.
Yeah, it is one of those. I mean, I was thinking about that, talking about that, because we've got a Liverpool fan at work, and he was talking about their derbies, and I was just sort of well, I just said this is one where quite often you always win your home game, even when you're not playing your best or you haven't got the best team at the moment. It's just the fans, the atmosphere. It's just one of the. I mean, that's why it's the hardest game to get a ticket for, isn't it?
Yeah, and Rufus, I think you're spot on. Where this game is, or this derby in particular, I think the one thing about it that's quite unique is that I think it does have one of the highest home win percentages for a derby, where it seems like it's almost a miracle in itself to get a result away from home. That's how intense this derby is. So I know we all want a 2-1 win kind of sort of situation, but we need a manager that can, like we said, and we were just talking about, can keep this game within reach, can find a way to get to, whatever it may be, 90th minute, we're coming out with some sort of result. We're coming out with a point, because it's been impossible. Many managers have come and tried, have tried to get that away result, and they've all found a way to fail, or they've all seen their players kind of capitulate in some way or another. So it's interesting. It's a very unique derby, I think, where it feels like everything is left on the field, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, and it's always just a passionate day, isn't it? You just,
we're on the pitch.
I mean, how many other derbies are there where you get so many talk shows? Like I've seen, we are Tottenham TV and stuff like that. Yeah. Fan shows with Arsenal fans and debates.
It's a massive week.
It is really just such a huge event. And really,
it's the Christmas of football, but the scariest Christmas.
Bragging rights for the year is if you win both.
Yeah, it is. It's all about the bragging rights.
We've got to set ourselves up. Get one over on them tomorrow. That's what I want.
I think it's more.
Do it with a 3-5-2, and like a few people touched on, our team is so much different at the moment.
I think it's more incredible, or it's actually more defeating, Rufus, and no team has, or no fan base has experienced this in a while. If one of these teams does get a result away from home, I mean, we have yet to see the other, the home team, kind of, or the home fan base, go up in flames. Because I think Spurs fans, if we got a point, most of us would be pretty happy, pretty content, you would imagine, or at least thinking all right, we got out of there, we scraped something, which no team has done in a while. But what would be nice about that is that, that the home team for once in this North London derby for first time in a while would be in meltdown if they dropped a point or dropped 2 points or whatever it may be. That's gonna be nice to see. See the home team go into meltdown instead of the away team maybe going to meltdown afterwards.
I mean, I'd be happy with a point. I wouldn't be super happy, but I'd accept a point and then we carry on unbeaten.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd rather get one over on them tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd sort of disagree with a couple of the others. I'd say 2-1, maybe either way is what going to be the result.
I would love to see a 2-1. I'd love to see a 2-1. Maybe for either. It could be either team that could get that 2-1 result. You're probably right, but hopefully it's going to be Spurs for this one. Thoughts on Hugo being injured? I'm not sure if you got your thoughts on this. Do you have faith in Fraser Forster, or is that something that would worry you with Hugo being out?
I have faith in him. I mean, he's got to come in sooner or later. I mean, it's
maybe better way. Would you rather it be
in this game? But like, we paid money for him, we'd expect that he's going to be able to do a job.
Would you have more faith if it were Galini, Joe Hart, or Fraser Forster? It's probably a better question.
I'd probably go Forster, because none of the other three really filled me with a super amount of confidence when they were between the posts.
Gazzaniga, maybe we can go back that far back. Would you maybe rather have Gazzaniga behind the sticks?
Well, he was quite athletic, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was young at the time too.
I mean, it's I mean, in the ideal world, I'd much prefer Loris, but from what we've got at the moment, I think Forster can do us a job. Maybe we have to change our play a bit at the back. I mean, we're going to miss the vocality. Can he be as vocal as Loris? That's the thing.
Yeah.
And does he work so well with Dyer? I mean, that's because Dyer and Loris are very vocal together, you know.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Any danger men for Arsenal that we need to be aware of in your mind, Rufus? Anybody that's kind of in particular a very good player in your opinion?
I just
you don't need to answer if you don't want to give them any credit. That's totally welcome. I like that mentality. I know Dave. That's how Dave would answer it. Dave wouldn't give them credit.
Previous two guests, but I would go for if we're stupid enough to give Jesus a bit of Platz, switched into Germany. I'm tired. If we give him a bit of space, then we might pay for it because he's a bit unpredictable. His positioning is a bit unpredictable, and
he's not your typical number 9.
Yeah, it's with Dyer, and depends where he is. You know, if that means Romero's got to pick him up if he's on that cutting out over there, or it's a difficult.
This is probably
he's an unpredictable player, but if watching on form in Brazil, Richarlison's scoring for fun in comparison to him. So
it's nice to see that actually, him be snubbed from the Brazil list, and then Richarlison continue to prove the Brazil manager right and score all those goals. You're absolutely right, Rufus. You're right.
And he seems to be on a buzz. So maybe he's the super sub this time. Maybe he's the one that comes on.
Do you feel like Jesus? I don't know. This might be a bad comparison, but he is sort of like maybe an Aguero kind of type striker where they're a bit tricky because they're not going to like bully you physically or anything. They're just going to be taking up kind of these positions, around the box or in the box. They're just really hard to defend, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they just seem to have those type of players like Jesus. Sometimes they sort of like switch. They look like they switch off a little bit, and like people lose track of them a little bit.
I know what you mean.
And then sometimes they just have this knack of just strolling into a tiny little bit of space where they've got a half-meter advantage and then going for it.
I know what you mean, Rufus.
But we've got like sort of like Son and Kulusevski who are like much bigger dribblers and are sort of like really going to sort of like try and beat you with the ball. And it's like in the Fulham game, he just didn't even look like he was in the game. He was in his own half, just started walking down the byline. And then I broke into a jog and then a little tiny sprint and scored a goal. It's just sort of like they're the players that sort of disappear a little bit. I mean, you really have to watch them.
Yeah, it's not like a big Mitrovic that is easy to pick up because he's he's a massive lump on the pitch. It's someone like Jesus where you do have to sort of have maybe more of your wits about you, I would say.
Yeah, I mean that's my point. Like Mitrovic isn't half as fast as him. And we lost him completely.
True.
But it was a trick by Mitrovic. He didn't look like he was interested in the game. He was in his own half. He was just strolling. Everybody just seemed to lose him a bit.
Yeah, it's the common problem with sometimes these really good strikers, Rufus, is they make it look like they're uninterested, which then makes the defense sort of switch off, and then they kind of take advantage of it. You're absolutely right. It's a good kind of tactic probably used by the quality forwards of kind of today. Stevie Frazier just quickly saying, for me, it's not good how it's not how good Forster is. He is, but how well he can communicate and organize like Hugo can. That is kind of the big point, is that going into a North London derby, it's probably the worst time for him to sort of get that trust from teammates to be able to communicate everything in the best way possible. This is a really tough game to come into if you were to start this one, Rufus. You would rather it be against a Bournemouth. You'd rather it be against a Leicester City, if anything. To be honest, it not a North London derby away from home. This would be a tough one, if not the toughest one for Forster to come into.
We all sort of knew something along these lines was going to happen when we go into an international break, because we never seem to come out of an international break with a clean sheet.
True.
There's always one or two in the injury room, and yeah, I would rather it wasn't Loris or Kulusevski, but it's not as bad as in other seasons that we don't have. Our cover's better quality now. That's what I'm trying to say. Much better quality than it was a couple of years ago. So, yeah, it's not ideal. It's not perfect. We just have to make the most of it and get the job done. The only other thing I don't like is we're never damn good at early kickoffs.
And apparently neither are Arsenal, so we'll see how this goes, actually, Rufus. But yeah, the early kickoff.
Probably going to be one of the most boring first halves of all time.
Yeah, it might be. Everybody will be asleep. I'll certainly. It's 7:30 a.m. is when it actually kicks off, Rufus, my time. It's brutal. Absolutely brutal, especially North London derby. Brutal. I mean, I don't even know if I'll sleep before. I don't even know if I'll be able to. But kind of score prediction. Can I get your score prediction, Rufus, and maybe goal scorers?
2-1, and I'll go Kane from a penalty and Son from open play.
Son from open play, Kane from a penalty. Are they happening in the first half or in the second half? Separated by
second half. We'll go in at 1-0 down, I reckon.
Well, that's still. I don't know. I said this before, Rufus. Like, if the game's still within reach by halftime, that's something no team has done in a while, is to have the game still be within reach by halftime. So even if we are 1-0 down, it's not ideal, but it's still within reach.
Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes we seem to be quite good at that, dropping one down, and then then we seem to find another gear, and as opposed to going in at 0-0, sometimes we come out a bit slow, but quite often when we're 1-0 down, we come out of the trap quite fast in the second half.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I'll probably say Son first from open play, and then a penalty, drama, VAR in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, that'd be nice. Hopefully we get some VAR drama that goes our way, that gets the Gooners upset, and they'll be all over Talk Sport and all that sort of stuff. That'd be nice to see.
I love that. I love it. I love it when TikTok goes into meltdown.
Yeah, absolutely. But Rufus, pleasure as always speaking with you. Thanks for coming on, brother. And hopefully we have some good things to chat about Monday.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've got bad internet connection at the moment. But hopefully after the Champions League game, everything's okay again. And I'll try and get me and Jacob on next time.
Big up. Yeah, I want to talk to Jacob. See what he has to say. But best of luck to the both of you. Tell Jacob, to give me some of that confidence. Sounds like he's a bit more confident than me, or at least has fewer nerves than I do. So tell Jacob I said hi as well.
I will do, mate. I will do. And
right,
come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Rufus. Catch you soon, mate. Everybody show some Rufus some love, please. Our man out in Germany, our designated Spurs fan out there, definitely spreading the good love of Conte, spreading the good love of Paratici. It's just always love chatting with him on a Friday. We're going to bring on one last guest. It's going to be the KPV of the house. Just quickly, got a photo of Dave, Ben Kaufman, as well as Nick Lazy 8 in the Nick Lazy 8 with the channel as well. Everybody, just thought maybe you want to see that. They're out in London, I believe. I could be wrong, but maybe this is Ben's coffee shop here. They are just kind of enjoying themselves, I believe, just hanging out in London. There he is, Dave, Nick, and Ben Kaufman. Hopefully, you guys enjoy that. They look absolutely adorable, and they're going to be, I think, all together at the Bricklayers, I would imagine, tomorrow in London, everybody. So if you are in London and you do want to see Nick and Dave, do check them out. I think you can probably message them in the group chat, and they might be at the Bricklayers, I would imagine, tomorrow for the game. So if you're around that area, check them out, everybody. Pretty sure they would love to say hi and love to have a chat. But we're going to the last guest of the evening, KPV. It's KPV. It's the one who's going to be letting the hounds out after this show.
Hello.
KPV.
What's up?
We ready to let the hounds out tomorrow? I think you're the guy that we speak to, right? You're kind of the liaison between us and Antonio Conte, who lets the hounds out.
Yeah, and it's time for Conte to show Arteta who the real big dogs are tomorrow. Because, yeah, we're unbeaten. They're not, because they already lost the game. So we're still unbeaten, and they're not. So let's do this tomorrow. I'm going 3-2 Tottenham.
3-2. Who are the goal scorers, Kyle?
Well, since Kulu's out, I was going to pick him, but he's out. But I'm going for Kane and Son. Obviously, they love the North London derby, and Richarlison to come on and score the winner.
Oh, nice, Richie off the bench goal. That sounds nice.
Yeah, we're going to see some scenes, and yeah, everyone's probably going to be like screaming louder than Richarlison came on and scored a weldy like Son does or Kane. But yeah, Richarlison to score a weldy tomorrow, 3-2, and we'll be top league by 3 o'clock tomorrow and Monday.
I love that.
It's going to be brilliant. This game is the one I don't like. We're going away from home. Every time we go there, we don't turn up. We've lost, I believe, 2 times there, but a draw. We've gotten a draw once, but I want to win.
The game is usually lost by halftime, right, Kyle? And it's important that the boys don't do that.
Yeah, like it's important the boys don't do this again like they did under Nuno. We were 3-0 down at half-time and we got a goal back on Stone goal. But yeah, it's important the boys don't do that tomorrow. And yeah.
Would you then want Conte to be like a bit more conservative? Like, how is it, Kyle? Like, what would you do maybe? Do we just need to, learn from those mistakes? Like, how do we maybe get into halftime, like 0-0, 1-1? Because that's where we want to be by halftime, right?
Yeah, I think we'll probably, how do we get in there? Like, maybe Conte needs to tell them, like, don't just sit back and let them can score. Just sit back and defend and just block the goals from going in. Like, we want a clean sheet. And this is Conte's second North London derby, but at the Emirates. And so, who better than to end our losing one at the Emirates than Conte?
Yeah.
Harry Redknapp was the last one to do that.
Yeah.
And we won 3-2. So, yeah, Conte, who better than him to do it?
Special manager to do it, Kyle. Absolutely.
Special manager to do it. And, yeah, so I'm going for 3-2 Spurs.
Love that. Gianni Vio, is he going to help us out? Our secret weapon, the set piece coach, Kyle. He's gotten us into this position in the league. Is he going to help us out tomorrow?
Yeah, he's going to help us out, the set piece coach. And finally, Conte has confirmed that Harry Kane will be joined by Heung-min Son and Eric Dyer on free kicks. But Son's going to be first to take the first one because he's done it for South Korea. And yeah, Son's going to do it, not Kane. Dyer taking a bit of miss, but Son's going to score this one tomorrow. But
Come on.
I said Son, Kane and Richarlison to come on score the winner. So yeah, we'll go. I think 0-0. We'll go 0-0 half time because I think we'll be the better team in the first half and the second half. Because I think they're not going to score past Lloris because he might start because I think he's only pulled just a bit of an injury, but yeah, he's played in every North London derby. So I
That's
don't
true.
want Fraser Forster. I don't
You
want
can't
Fraser
miss
Forster.
it. He's played in every one. You're right. You can't miss
Yeah,
this
he's played
one.
in every one. So yeah, tomorrow I expect the French winning World Cup captain to play, not Fraser
Uh-huh.
Forster, because I know he beat Arsenal at St Mary's, but this is the North London derby, and Lloris played in every single one of them. So yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this, Kyle.
Let's
Absolutely,
go
brother.
Let's go there and get the 3 points, and then everyone's probably going to be going out for a party at the weekend. Yeah, watching the highlights, and yeah, the North London derby killers, Harry Kane and Son and Richarlison. But since Kulu's out, he's not lost the North London derby because he's not lost. So Bentancur's not lost, but he'll probably start. But yeah, everyone's going to be saying, "Oh, Kulu hasn't played; he has lost." But no, he's not lost the North London derby. So yeah, Kulu's never lost. So this is
Richie's going to come in and score the goals for Kulusevski, like you said,
Yeah.
Kyle. Richie off the bench.
yeah, Romero finally in the North London derby.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, last season he didn't play in the home
You're right.
leg. I believe it was Sanchez who. But
Mhm.
yeah, wonder who Conte's going to put in the centre back. Maybe Romero, Dyer, and I don't know Longley. But yeah, tomorrow we're going to go there, beat them, revenge. But they want revenge after what we did in May. But they're not going to beat us. It's time to stay unbeaten and kick their asses 3-2. And
Come on.
yeah, watch out, Arteta. Conte's coming to your house to beat you. And
He's coming to your town. He's coming to your house. I
time
love
for him
that.
to release the hounds and show them who the real big dogs are. So in Conte we trust. And as always, Levy out. Come on,
Big
you
up KVV. Legend. Oh, love that. And he's given a big score prediction as well. Did I get your score prediction, Kyle? You said 3-2. Is that right?
Yeah, 3-2.
Big up. All right. Just making sure.
Yeah, no worries.
And he's gonna let the hounds out. We got the confirmation. He spoke to Conte this morning. KPV did. He's gonna let the hounds out in Arteta's palace. Big up already. Catch you soon, KPV. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Everybody, show KPV some love. What a legend! It's me. It's KPV. KPV is dynamite. Says Manic. Absolute legend. So he is. But everybody, please, on your way out, smash that like button. Do get ready for tomorrow. We, of course, have the watch along on this channel. Massive watch along. Pretty sure there's going to be a pre-match build-up. While David is enjoying himself out in London, he's still going to be putting up that pre-match build-up for you guys. So it shows the dedication from himself on this channel. So everybody, all you need to do, wake up tomorrow, get yourself ready with the Irish Hotspur with that pre-match build-up. And then on top of that, with the watch along, it's going to be me and Sean doing the watch along. Probably going to get some people on at halftime. Plenty of good stuff. And then with the weekend, we'll have Twitter reactions. I think we'll have a tactical breakdown on Sunday. So as always, plenty of content coming up on the channel. Then you know where to stick. It's with us here at the Irish Hotspur. Hit that like button on your way out. I think we're going to have a combined 11 too towards the end of today with the likes of Northside. Pretty sure that's going to be happening. So also stay tuned for that tonight. But as always, everybody, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. And I will be seeing ya.